Pandemic that you've probably been hearing about on the news, probably know a little bit about it, so we'll just go ahead and get right into kind of the details of what the virus itself is, and then we'll kind of talk about why you should be worried, shouldn't be worried, and we'll talk about some of the issues preventing kind of Zika from being solved. So let's continue. So the virus itself, any kind of adult individual who is infected by the Zika virus, usually by mosquito bite, really won't experience anything more severe than kind of a common cold. And usually your body can generate the antibodies it needs to kind of totally overcome the infection in just about a week for an adult. But kind of the problem isn't in kind of healthy adults, it's specifically in pregnant women. So just to give you kind of some specifics about kind of where this mosquito is that's spreading it. This is, it's called the yellow fever mosquito because it was also responsible for yellow fever, dengue. You can see it's super huge South America. It's a tropical mosquito. We have a cousin of the Aedes aegypti. It's called the Aedes alfugo, I believe, but it's kind of its colder cousin. It lives up north, and it also is a vector of the Zika virus. It spreads it, but it's less effective in spreading it. So basically, when we're talking about the main kind of vector of the Zika virus, we're talking about this guy right here, Aedes aegypti, and basically, so you see, it spreads all the way up into the U.S. and in Florida they have these plants. Basically, they're everywhere, but they have basically like 99% of them have mosquito larvae in them, and for a reason we're going to talk about in a second. Basically, the kind of the movement now is to eradicate the mosquitoes while they work on a vaccine. So these plants are kind of being wiped out in Miami. So, but the danger of the Zika virus, again, like I said, is in pregnant women. So we'll continue on to kind of that element of it. So when a mosquito with the Zika virus bites a pregnant woman, the Zika is passed through the umbilical cord into the fetus, and with a less developed immune system, it can be very dangerous for that infant. And basically the most common problem to come out of infected pregnant woman with Zika is a baby with microcephaly, which is a shrinking of the cranium, and leads to a lot of developmental disabilities, intellectual. So you saw that the kind of a huge concentration of the mosquito was in South America, particularly in Brazil, is kind of where the Zika outbreak began in the Americas. And the problem was it wasn't handled quickly enough, and it became kind of an overwhelming problem to deal with, and especially in Brazil, without kind of the social programs to take care of a lot of these microcephaly babies that are being born. It's become, here's a quote from a hospital official in Brazil: "This is different. It's a generation of babies with a disability, which is a huge social, economic, and public health problem." And so we'll kind of talk about those elements of it. So if we continue on to the next slide, we can see this is an example of microcephaly in a baby. So you see significant shrinkage of the cranium that leads to some disabilities early and throughout life. So I'm going to pass it on to Tala. Tell us a little bit about the status of developing a cure.
So far, there is no cure or vaccine for Zika, but there's many things you can do to treat your symptoms for if you have Zika. One thing you can do is get plenty of rest, because one of the symptoms for Zika is you'll have high levels of fever, and to reduce that fever, you will need plenty of rest. You will need to drink lots of fluids to keep yourself hydrated, and to reduce your fever, you can take medicines like Tylenol or paracetamol. How to protect yourself? Since there's no vaccine, you can basically be careful. Since Zika is basically transmitted through mosquito bites, make sure that if you're going for a picnic or going to a park, make sure you have mosquito repellent that's by CDC. FDA has decided to screen all blood that is being donated, is because Zika virus is transmitted from fluids to other people's, from fluids to fluids in other people's body, and that's why FDA has been screening all the blood that's being donated, and to prevent Zika virus from being transmitted into other people, make sure you protect yourself during sex.
So quickly, just to cut in, there was a bullet on my slide that I skipped over. So one of the huge challenges in studying Zika and developing a cure is that 80% of people infected with Zika show no symptoms at all. So many pregnant women have it and don't even know they have it. So the kind of estimating the size of impact is really challenging, and getting enough kind of research subjects to develop a vaccine is really challenging. So I'll get back to it. That's all I have.
In February 2016, the World Health Organization declared Zika to be a global concern, and that's because of its rapid growth in other countries as well. Countries like US, Mexico, most countries in South America have Zika virus. It has spread to India, Pakistan, Australia, and other countries as well in Africa. The National Institution of Allergy and Infectious Disease, it's part of the National Institute of Health, has made a lot of vaccines, but they haven't tested them out yet. They're still being tested on animals and humans that have Zika. And there is some places in India that's also been working on vaccines, but none of the vaccines have been out yet because they're still in trials. More than 50 countries and territories have active Zika virus transmissions, and just in the US, there's more than 6,400 Zika virus cases reported. On this map, you can see that Zika reports prior to 2015 were in in Africa and in Asian countries, South Asian countries, but now in 2016 it's grown to US, South America, and even in Alaska and Australia. Now I'll just pass on to Taylor.
Okay, so of course it comes into, well, what is the U.S. going to do about it? Are we going to now start funding research? Are we going to try to find a cure for this? Well, the Democrats are going to block Zika funding because they are worried that the Republicans will block Planned Parenthood funding. There are sections that they want their money to go towards that. The Republicans are stating that there will be no attacks that will be going towards Planned Parenthood. So there are money and asymmetric carriers that will hinder research. Next slide, please. So America's state of mind is that the public health is a growing concern. We have, the Obamacare and everything that public health, is that something that the government should provide? That's always a concern in elections. Media is a fear. Media is a fear. Media is putting fear in America, and America is continuing to funnel money. There's only been one death in America, and we have done the most research in the world. Is anybody in this room willing to be a guinea pig for this? Does anybody want to get injected with mosquito and want to, be guinea pig? And I don't think so, yeah. Because why can't other countries do the research while we don't have the money for that? Florida has released modified mosquitoes, and they're taking a stand on their rights.
Yeah, actually, to cover her last point, maybe, that's the next one. Keys in Florida, one of the major cities, they actually voted to see if they would release the mosquitoes. They're genetically modified mosquitoes. They're releasing male ones. And what it is once those males mate with the females, their offsprings will die, making sure that the Zika virus dies along with them, since all the males will eventually die and they can't reproduce with the same virus. This is actually a handout that gives you all the information about Zika, how to prevent it, and what it can do and what it really means as worldwide. As we're moving on, it's not necessarily affecting us on a right now level. You can have a cold and it's gone within a week. But next few generations, they're going to keep carrying it and testing positive for it as it moves through the blood from the mother to the fetus. Especially in the Brazil countries where a lot of people are moving. We just had the Olympics. A lot of people were down there, came back to America and all over the world, and they can't even predict how much it's going to spread within the next 5 years.
So the interesting kind of ethical aspect of kind of the funding conflict that's going on, actually today they're having the Senate's back in session, the Congress is going to discuss the new Zika funding. And so really interesting, we mentioned Planned Parenthood is kind of caught in the middle of this. Basically, a lot of the discussion is on whether once you identify, like if I'm a pregnant woman and my baby they can read that it's going to have microcephalus, then that's going to be a very hard baby to provide for. It's going to be very kind of time consuming, and then there's a huge kind of gray area where can the mother make the decision based on that information to abort the baby. So with that kind of heavy stuff out there, I'm going to open it up for some kind of comments on what you think about whether that's right, wrong, how much kind of decision you think is in the right of the government or the mother, as it were. Anyone